Guys, I'm just like everybody else. Through 4 weeks in the NFL season, I predicted that the Vikings were going to be the best team in the NFL. You remember that, right? Welcome in, everybody. I'm Seth Floyd Hansen. This is the Seth Floyd Show, and I want to give a special welcome back to all my Vikings fans that blew up my other video that you all, the first time you came, you wanted to watch me cry and see as the 49ers dropped the Week 2 game to the Vikings. I want to welcome you all back as I do another Vikings video and another video that I think you will enjoy. Let's talk about this. The Vikings are the best team in the NFL after 4 weeks. I didn't say one of the best. I said the best team in the NFL after 4 weeks through the season. And I don't know how anyone can debate otherwise. There is one other team that, fine, if you want to argue that they're better, or in your power rankings you have them ahead, that's fine. And that's, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put power, if I'm doing a power rankings, I would not have the Chiefs above the Vikings, simply because of how these victories have looked. Okay. The Vikings are one of two teams, along with the Chiefs, that are undefeated, and their last two wins have been completely dominant. Okay. The win against the 49ers, the score was close, and it came down to, kind of the last 5 minutes of the game, but they still physically dominated the 49ers in that game. And then the Giants, they should have beat the Giants anyway. But yeah, I don't think it's debatable. I don't think you can argue it. If you do not think the Vikings are the best team in the NFL right now, or top two, you either don't know football, or you have an agenda, you're just a troll, whatever you want to say, okay? Because it's pretty. Just trust your eyes. That's my thing. Trust your eyes when watching football. I have watched enough of this team to know they look head and shoulders above most of the other teams in the NFL. And let's look at their last 3 wins. I brought that up. Your last 3 wins. Week 2, you beat the 49ers. Preseason, they were best or tied for best or second best to win the Super Bowl odds, 49ers. Okay? Then you beat the Texans, who is everybody's darling. That was like one of those sexy picks to make it to the Super Bowl or maybe win a Super Bowl. I've seen a lot of that. Everyone loved the Texans coming into this year. Dismantled them. That game was never in doubt. And then last week, 2 days ago, you beat your division rival, the Green Bay Packers, who the Green Bay Packers are the Texans of the NFC, meaning they were the sexy pick. Everyone anointed Jordan Love as this next coming, as like a top 3 quarterback, whatever. And funny enough, the funniest stat in the NFL today is Malik Willis is 2-0 as the Green Bay Packers starter, and Jordan Love is 0-2. Of course, the competition was different, but I still think it's funny. It makes me laugh. Dismantled them. Now, there's no other team. The only other undefeated team now is the Chiefs. And in Chiefs fashion, they win every game. Comes down to the last possession. They win it by 1 score. I can't remember the last time they blew out a team. That's not a knock on the Chiefs. I'm just saying, like, all 3 phases of the game, that is the Vikings. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying, okay? I'm not predicting the Vikings to win the Super Bowl. Heck, in 4 weeks, I don't know if the Vikings will still be the best team in the NFL. But right now, on October 1st, as I record this video, the Vikings are the best team in the NFL. And if I say I'm not saying that I'm picking the Vikings to win the Super Bowl. I'm not. Maybe I'll do an updated like playoff prediction. That might be fun. I'm not saying that they're going to win it, but what I'm saying is if you don't have them in the discussion of them being a Super Bowl contending team, or if someone came to you right now and said, who do you think after 4 weeks, like who are the realistic teams that could win the Super Bowl? I can think of like 3, maybe 4. Because I'm a homer. But the Chiefs have to be up there always. They will always be up there as long as Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are there. And then who else? It has to be the Vikings. It has to be the Vikings. The Vikings have to be on that list of like, yeah, why would you bet on anybody else coming out of the NFC but the Vikings right now? Other teams might be, like, I still believe in the Bills. I know they look bad against Baltimore, but I still think that they're a good team. You got to put the Ravens in that mix now after starting 0-2, but how good they've looked the last 2 weeks. I don't think I'd count out the 49ers, though I wouldn't bet on it, but I remember in 2021 they started 3-5 and got to the NFC Championship game. So I just know how they usually play better down the stretch, but whatever. That's not what this is about. This is about the Vikings are in that mix. If I had to put money right now, I would say the Vikings are going to win the NFC. Because there's a few reasons. One, they play their defense. I'm always going to be a guy that believes in defense over everything, okay? For example, a stat last night. This is an incredible stat. The Seahawks last night on Monday Night Football, for the first time since like 2000, I think. Fact check me on that, whoever's out there, whatever. There was a stat that was posted this morning. For the first time since like 2000, a team had 38 first downs in a football game, in an NFL game. And that was the Seahawks, 38 first downs. That's like incredible. And if you just told someone that stat, they didn't watch the game last night, you just said, hey man, you're not gonna believe this. Seattle had 38 first downs last night. You'd be like, oh my gosh, they must have dominated. No, they lost by 14 points or 13 points. And that's because defense over everything. Defense over everything. You have to have offense. You have to have an average offense to win a Super Bowl, but you have to have a very good defense to win the Super Bowl. You have to have a very good defense. And the Vikings, I would take the Vikings defense over everybody else's at this moment in time. Now, haters, Vikings fans, I'm sure you're hearing it this morning, especially from like Packer fans that are trying to hold on to excuses as to why it's not that big of a deal. Like, yes, you guys ended up giving up a lot of points at the end of that game. That game ended up way closer than it probably should have been, probably what you were hoping for. But guys, this is the NFL. I expect when there are two good teams playing and one team goes up big early, like first half, I always expect the losing team to make it close by the end or make you nervous by the end. That one got a little too close for comfort. If you're a Vikings fan, I'm sure you'd be like, golly, I cannot stomach a come from behind loss to the Packers. But that's what happens. Is the NFL, you guys were on the road. It was a division game. Division games are always weird. They're always tough to the final whistle. It's hard as a football player. I don't know how many of you played football. My background, like I played pretty big high school football in California. I played Division III football in college. I coached a few years here in Texas, okay, high school football. And here's the thing. You're human beings. There are human beings playing this game. So the Vikings is a huge game on your schedule, biggest game on your schedule so far, I would say, because it's a division opponent and it's the Packers. You guys hate the Packers. Emotionally, you're really up for this game. You get up 28-0, or I think that's what it was. Yeah, and then the Packers scored before half. Like, it is easy. You as a human being, those players, like, you can preach it all you want, but you're going to relax a little bit. You're going to relax. After the pressure of all week and the tension of like, man, I want to play well this game. I'm getting geared up for this game. And then all of a sudden you're up 28 points in the second quarter. Like, you're going to take a sigh of relief a little bit. You are. That's human. That doesn't make you a bad team. That doesn't mean you're not going to win the Super Bowl. Like, that happens to all the great teams. Now, it would be a different story if you'd found a way to lose, but you didn't. You won. And it was on the road against a division opponent that everyone was really high on. So I literally, like, it does not faze me at all how I feel about the Vikings almost kind of losing that game. Doesn't, because you won. And it was on the road. It was a division opponent. Here's my thing. Here's why if I had to put money on it today, okay, if I had to put money on it today. And listen, Vikings fans, if there are people still skeptical of the Vikings, skeptical over the long run of like, can they win the Super Bowl? Like, understand that there have been teams that have fooled people in the past, okay? Like, it has been 4 weeks. And for me, that's enough. For me, like 4 weeks of playing great defense combined with beating some of your toughest opponents that were on your schedule, you've already beaten them. You ran through them the last 3 weeks. So to me, that's enough. But I get why some people are more skeptical of them being able to maintain this over the course of the whole season. I get that. So don't be too harsh. Understand they're not haters. It's just, it's different. If the Chiefs do it or the 49ers did it, they did it last year. They've done it the last few years. So you're like, okay, this is what they do. The Vikings just haven't done it. I mean, they did it with Kirk. You guys did it with Kirk, but then you lost that playoff game against the Giants. Sorry to bring that up. But I'm just saying, show some grace. Like, you don't have to be angry all the time. You don't have to watch a YouTube video and just get angry in the comments all the time. Like, I know that's the de facto go-to for YouTube, but that's my advice to you, okay? Should we talk about the rules to talking trash on the internet, okay? Get the rule number one it's rule number one because it gets broken more than any other rule, and that is you're free to comment anything you want and talk trash, that's fine, as long as you watch the whole freaking video, okay? Stop it with the 1 minute, oh, I watched a minute, I watched 30 seconds of this video, I didn't like one thing he said, and I'm gonna comment, make it sound like I watched the whole 15-minute video. Like, I had someone, like, you Vikings fans that are returning, you know how much love I gave you guys after you beat the 49ers, and I still had Vikings fans, random Vikings fans, they don't represent the whole fan base, coming in mad at me that I said, sorry, I was trying to, there's like an air conditioning turned on, I was like, what was that? Still mad at me that I made a comment about, I was like, I think Sam Darnold probably limits you guys in the long run. Like, the most uncontroversial statement ever. You wanted me to anoint Sam Darnold as like the king of the NFL after 2 weeks. Now, he's done it another 2 weeks, and I'm more bought into Sam Darnold, okay? But let's like watch the whole video before we just like comment, because that video was like 15 minutes long, and for about 13 minutes of it, all I did was talk about how good the Vikings were, how I take them serious, how Brian Flores is like the best defensive coordinator in the league. So that's rule number one, okay? Rule number one, you can say all the mean things you want, be angry on any YouTube video, but just watch the whole video first before you make your irrational comments, decisions. My second rule, guys, it doesn't got to be personal. It's just football, whatever. I'm not going to preach to you guys. It doesn't have to be personal. We don't have to name drop. You can make fun of my team, you can whatever. But when we start dropping F-bombs, one of the biggest problems right now is we think, oh, the angrier we sound, the more F-bombs we drop, like the more valid we are in our argument. Somehow that gives me power over you if I cuss at you a lot. And that's like the dumbest thing ever. Like, you can talk trash and be funny, and like it doesn't have to be so personal. It just doesn't. But whatever. I'm moving on. Okay. Sorry, that was like a huge tangent. You can tell I'm in dad mode because I like talk about these things with my kids. Anyway, look at the Vikings schedule going forward. It is like, who are they playing? I mentioned they've already beaten 3 of the toughest teams on their schedule. When you preseason, you look at it, you'd be like, okay, their toughest teams are the 49ers, probably the Texans, they got to play the Packers twice, they got to play the Lions twice. Those are probably I mean, how many games was that? 6? Those are probably the 6 toughest games. Well, you already beat 3 of them, and 2 of them, like, it wasn't even really that close. Beat the Niners, beat the Texans, beat the Packers on the road. You beat them on the road. Like, that's an important distinction. You get on the road. So who do they have left? Well, you still got to play the Lions twice. Their defense looks awful. Could not stop the Seahawks last night. Luckily, their offense looks amazing. So that's for sure your toughest two games left. You have to play you have to play the Lions twice, and you guys play the Lions week 18. That is my new nomination to be the Sunday. You know, remember in week 18 they don't give out the schedule. They say, everyone, this is who you're playing week 18, but you don't know what time or anything. This is my new poster game for the week 18 Sunday Night Football, because that game's going to mean something. Vikings-Lions is going to mean something. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like, I think that's a possibility. That is a possibility. That is what we're talking about right now, Vikings fans. It is possible that before week 18 you could have this wrapped up, because you don't play anybody else. The benefit to you guys finishing in 3rd place in your division last year is you played 3rd place schedule. So like, I'm looking at the schedule. Do I still have it up? I didn't. I just wrote down a couple, like, who are your other losses? This is who you have the rest of the way. Josh, throw this up on the schedule if you can. I'm looking at it on my computer. You got the Jets in London. Like, could that get weird? Maybe, because you're in London. I don't know. Then you get the Lions. That game's at home. Big game. Then you go to the Rams. I mean, probably not a loss, I wouldn't think. Shouldn't be a loss. Cooper Kupp will be back by then. I don't know about Puka, but like, regardless, shouldn't be a loss. You get the Colts. I mean, you guys don't feel like you should lose the Colts? I don't think you should lose the Colts. You're playing them at home. The Jaguars are dumpster fire. The Titans are probably worse than the Jaguars. The Bears on the road, like, that's a division game. Maybe it gets weird. Cardinals at home, you shouldn't lose that. Maybe the Falcons. Like, I'm higher on the Falcons than most people. If Kirk can kind of get his momentum going, like, maybe that's a weird game you drop. Then you get the Bears at home. Maybe at Seattle. I'm not a huge believer in Seattle because like they looked all right last night, but they were 3-0, but who'd they played? They played Bo Nix, Jacoby Brissett, and Skylar Thompson, and Tim Boyle. So like, but maybe you lose in Seattle late in the year, then you get Green Bay at home, week 17, and then you go to the Lions week 18. Now here's what I'll say. You're not going to go undefeated, Vikings fans. You're not going to go undefeated. I hope that doesn't offend you. And if you do go undefeated, I will wear that. I don't care. No one goes undefeated. It's happened twice in NFL history. It just doesn't happen, okay? All the Super Bowl teams that win the Super Bowl lose games during the season. Like that, if me saying you guys are going to lose a game or 2 or 3 does not mean I'm bashing on you. And if you think that, then you're dumb, okay? I'll stand on that. You're dumb if you're getting offended about that, okay? But so my guess is you're going to split with the Lions, and then some of those other games I talked about, like maybe you drop a weird one in Seattle, or maybe this week against the Jets in London, like playing in London can be weird. Like those things make a difference. But I'm looking at the schedule. You guys are like 14-3, 15-2. Like who are you losing to? The one caveat is like I don't think this is going to happen. Like the one thing that could derail or cost you guys the 1 seed in the NFC is if Sam Darnold reverts back to what Sam Darnold was before this season. I don't think that's going to happen. But it has only been 4 games, so you don't know. Okay, I've been burned by quarterbacks before. I used to think Colin Kaepernick was destined to be the best quarterback in the NFL after that 2012, 2013 season, and then he sucked after that. So like 4 games doesn't cement Sam Darnold as like the hero you guys think he is, but I'm not saying he's going to go back. I don't think he is. I think he's going to be just fine for you guys going forward. And I think you're going to finish 14-3 or 15-2. Like I don't see your win. Your losses before the year would have been 49ers, Texans, Packers once, maybe twice, Lions once or twice, and like whatever. But that's clearly not the case. The 1 seed, Vikings fans, is yours to lose. All right. As long as guys don't get hurt. You guys have, I think it's not even that underrated of a story, but without a doubt, like Kevin O'Connell he has to be without a doubt a top 5 coach in the NFL right now, but you could argue he's a top 3 NFL coach right now. Look what he's doing with Sam Darnold, and you've got good pieces on offense. It's just look what he's helped Sam Darnold become. And then with Brian Flores, like he's a top 3 defensive coordinator in the NFL right now. So when you have that combination and you have talent, like there's no stopping you guys. Look, there is, but it's more likely that you guys are going to get in your own way than like just a team is going to come in and beat you. You got guys on the team that don't have a lot of playoff experience that might make a difference. Like the playoffs is a tricky thing because you get one chance. So if Sam Darnold has one bad game in the playoffs, like you're done. This magical season is over. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's why I'm not crowning you Super Bowl champs right now because there's just so much crazy stuff that can still happen. But here's the good news. The 1 seed is yours to lose. That's what it feels like right now. And you're playing at home. If that's the case, you'll be playing both your playoff games at home if that's what happens. And that's a tough place to play. That fan base, you guys go crazy. That is a tough place to play. So I'm just saying, like, the sky is the limit, it feels like, for the Vikings. I think they're the best team in the NFL right now. I think the Chiefs do this every year. They play close. Every single game is going to be close. Every year we always like, man, I don't think this is their year. And then they hit a different level. They have Patrick Mahomes, who's the ultimate X factor. So if anyone puts the Chiefs over the Vikings, don't be offended by that, guys. The ultimate X factor will always be Patrick Mahomes combined with Andy Reid. It's just unfair. So they may play every game close, but they win so many close games, it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. But I would put you guys ahead of them just based off of your first 4 weeks performance. It's crazy. This is the story of the NFL. If you guys continue to do this, it's going to be, if you make a Super Bowl run, like it will be one of this most unpredictable, unforeseen like Super Bowl runs we've seen. Just given where kind of everyone had you, and given how much hype has been on the Lions and on the Packers this offseason. Even the Bears I gave the Bears more love than the Vikings. Like it just goes to show how important coaching is in the NFL. Because now looking back, it seems crazy. You would take Eberflus over Kevin O'Connell. Like, anyway, Vikings fans, you should be excited thank you for coming back and hanging out with me. I mean, look at Darnold. That was one other thing. I'm going to pull it up. Darnold right now, I was looking it up earlier. Dude he leads the league, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Yards, he's at 9, so he's not bad. He's averaging 8.8 yards per attempt, which is actually second behind Brock Purdy. He's got 11 touchdowns this year. Like, he is balling. He's balling, and he's the only thing that could slow you guys down potentially. So for your guys' sake, I hope he keeps doing what he's doing. Kevin O'Connell's going to work his magic with him, and man, the sky's the limit for you guys. I expect that. So, like, if I had to right now, I would say you guys are going to be the 1 seed. You're going to end up like 14-3. Even finding 3 losses left on your schedule is like hard to see. My guess is you will drop 1 to the Lions, probably on the road, and then you're going to have 1 game that just like is confusing. Like, what the heck? Like, how did that happen? Like 2 years ago, the Chiefs lost to the Colts when the Colts were bad. They just like randomly lost to the Colts and they went on to win a Super Bowl. In 2019, the Niners, when they went to the Super Bowl, I understand they didn't win it, but they lost to a bad Falcons team at home. Last year, I thought the Niners were going undefeated last year, 5-0, beat the Vikings. They beat them 42-10 or whatever, and then they proceeded to lose 3 in a row. And like, you're just like, oh, okay, cool. Like, dumb stuff happens like that, but I think you'll lose 1 to the Lions. Maybe you'll lose 1 to like the Falcons or the Seahawks. And like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just think the sky's the limit. Anyway, I've rambled too long. Vikings fans, thank you for coming back. Subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends. Like, hype them up that I'm like a Vikings fan. I'm very pro Vikings. I'm not a Vikings fan, but I'm very pro and believe in the Vikings. Clearly, I'm a 49er fan, but I love what you're doing out there. You guys are awesome. Tomorrow, Wednesday night hangout. You want to come live? I'll talk more Vikings at some point. And yeah, I'm out.